listening to the Blue Jay Breakdown.
Welcome back to Blue Jay Shoot-Around. I'm Jacob Padilla. Joining me is Drake Keeler as we are breaking down last week in Creighton women's basketball. And it was just a single game week since we last recorded here. Creighton took care of business against South Dakota, 81-55. And I think we have to start with Morgan Maly and the show that she put on. I know I was watching on TV. You got a better look at it than I did. What was it like watching her go to work?
Yeah, I mean, the first two Creighton home games this year, including the exhibition, Morgan Maly just not really missed many shots. And that has been very enjoyable to watch. 30 points, just really great performance on both ends. She had a few blocks as well. Really just sparked the offense early, and I think they had a kind of slower stretch during the third quarter, and she kind of helped bring them out of that. I want to say she might have outscored South Dakota in the third quarter. But yeah, she had a really great game. It's been great to watch her early this season. I know she didn't shoot as well in that neutral site game against North Dakota State. But she's been, I mean, just like you said, just really great.
Yeah, she I think like 10 or 12 points in that opener on like 3-12 shooting, something like that.
Yeah.
Had like 10 points in the first quarter alone, hit like 4 of her first 5 shots or something like that. Just right off the bat, just going to work, knocking down shots, finished with 30, like you said, on 10 and 19 shooting, including 6 of 13 from 3, 4 of 4 from the line. Also had 10 boards, 2 assists, no turnovers. So just as good of a game as you're going to see. And yeah, she certainly put on a show for the home fans so far this season.
Absolutely.
And you knew she was going to bounce back after that performance on the road. And they got out to a big lead in the first quarter, 29-14. It was after one, and then kind of slowed down. Maly didn't score in the second quarter, and South Dakota was able to play Creighton even. Went on a big scoring drought at one point, and then I think Maly is the one that kind of snapped them out of it in that third quarter. Ended up outscoring them 21-11, and then holding on for the win there. All 5 starters in double figures. Ronsick was 16, 4 assists. Lauren Jensen, 11 points, 6 assists. Mallory Brake, 10 points, 9 boards, 3 assists, no turnovers. And then Molly Mogensen, 10 points, 5 assists. Really efficient, 2 of 3 from 3. 25 assists on 31 shots and 6 turnovers. That is Jim Flanery basketball.
Yes, and they've played that. They've executed that well. Early on, I think it started on a 7-0 run. South Dakota took a timeout maybe like a minute and a half into the game. The transition defense for them was kind of a mess. I think it was 3 straight transition buckets. One off a block, the other off a turnover, and the other they just ran out and beat them down. So they just, carried that lead from there. And even in the third quarter, their defense kind of helped pull them out of a slower stretch. I think Lauren Jensen had like back-to-back steals, just ripping the ball from the opposing ball handler. And, that was really helpful. Yeah, I mean, their defense was pretty strong. It was just a really good performance from, that starting lineup. The bench didn't contribute as much offensively, and we'll get into that. But, they made some plays on defense and still kind of found a way to have an impact.
Yeah, and I think that performance from Brake in particular was really impressive and encouraging.
Yeah,
she was one of the beneficiaries of that transition offense that you talked about, beating teams down the floor. Getting some easy buckets that way. And that was the one spot in lineup. Obviously, they got four starters coming back. You knew what those 4 were going to provide. The question was, all right, who's plugging in, taking that Rachel Saunders spot? And Mallory Brake has been the answer early on, and this was her first big scoring game, but she's done a little bit of everything, just kind of been that connector piece that you need in a very talented offensive lineup.
Absolutely. And, she also, Coach Flanery gave her credit for guarding Grace Larkins, who is South Dakota's leading scorer, held her to 9 points on 2 for 11 shooting. She wasn't, guarding her for all of those misses and 3 turnovers, but, she did a great job defending. And, that's a lot of what she brings. That's where kind of her biggest impact is going to be, and she's playing well on that end. Bring some length, bring some size to that starting lineup, and she can have an impact offensively. It's not going to be like what you see from Lauren Jensen and Morgan Maly, of course, but she played well.
Yeah, and you mentioned the bench. 2 of 15 from the field for 4 points. They had 4 players played double-digit minutes, and then Michaela Miller played 6 as well. Yeah. So everybody got a chance to get out there and play a little bit. Just wasn't a great showing from them, and I think that's definitely an area that we'll need to improve moving forward.
Yeah.
But you're also working in Keani Lockett and Jamie Horan played, and Kenny Townsend all played some last year, but Brittany Harshaw is coming off not playing last year, coming off the red shirt. Kayla Miller is a true freshman, so kind of figuring those pieces out. The bright spot of the bench was Keani Lockett, 5 assists and just 1 turnover plus 2 steals. And she had 2 of the 4 points off the bench. So I think that's certainly an encouraging sign from that bench. But yeah, you want to see, I think Townsend in particular will knock down some shots. I think she's got a chance to be kind of that 6th woman for this team in terms of providing an offensive punch while kind of the others figure out their spots.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think I'm interested to see how just that develops over the course of the season with this bench. They played well defensively, as did the rest of the team, so they weren't, just not having any impact out there, but obviously you're going to want to see some more contributions offensively, more consistently.
Yep. And early on the season, nobody's worried about this, but waiting for Lauren Jensen to kind of get going. We saw Morgan Maly go off after a poor shooting performance. Jensen 1 of 9 from 3 so far this season, obviously. And it has been interesting, kind of her evolution as a player. She was basically, that's what she was when she got to Creighton, was just kind of a shooter, morphed into more of an all-around scorer, and last year kind of shifted more into a point guard role. So she's a much more complete player than when she arrived at Creighton. Sure. But I think you'll see that shooting come around as well, as Molly's 20 points, 7.5 boards a game, 5 assists, no turnovers so far for her, shooting 40% from 3. So yeah, that'll get it done.
Those are good numbers.
Shout out to Nicola Villa Ambrosi, Millard North product, that came back and played with South Dakota, scored 6 points. It's good for her to get a chance to play back at home. Transferred there, and up next for Creighton is Green Bay on Thursday, as we record this on Wednesday, and then big one on Sunday against Nebraska. Unfortunately, we don't know who is going to be available to play for Nebraska in that one. They're a walking mash unit, and we'll have to see kind of who is able to recover, but obviously Jazz Shelley, the most notable one, who went down with what appeared to be an ankle injury in Nebraska's most recent game. So that'll be one to monitor, the health of that Nebraska team leading up to the annual matchup between these two. Nebraska is hosting this year, so Creighton will head down to Lincoln there for first true road game after having the neutral site game up there in Sioux Falls. So what are you kind of looking to see out of this next week from Creighton?
Yeah, I think they host a solid just Green Bay team on Thursday. You kind of look for them to do similar things as they did against South Dakota, and you want them obviously to take care of business there. They've got, some solid teams coming in non-conference play. And then against Nebraska, obviously that's a big one. The health of Jazz Shelley will obviously impact that picture a lot, depending on whether she's able to play. But that's, still a solid Nebraska roster on the other end. And that's going to be a good game. They blew them out last year. It is going to be interesting to see what happens in this matchup of in-state rivalry. Great game, regardless of result, just to watch. So it's going to be interesting. If Nebraska gets some of those players back that are hurt, I think that's kind of impacts. They might have a little more depth than Creighton does have. So that'll be interesting to watch what the Blue Jay bench can do.
Yeah, so first real test against another high major team against Nebraska, and then they head down to Cancun the week after. will take on a pair of high majors in Georgia Tech and Michigan State. So Creighton's kind of hitting tougher stretch of the non-conference year before coming back home. And we will be back to talk about it all sometime next week.
Absolutely.
A Hurrdat Sports Network production.